What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Ziza Connection. I know it's been a while. We've got episodes coming out for you for sure, but we do have an amazing new studio to show you, and we've got an amazing artist to show you as well. Ambition.
What's going on? Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's happy to have you over. Ambition is actually a friend of the guy sitting behind the cameras now, Zach. And we have stories of being introduced to people through different avenues all the time on this show. So this is just another good one. I wanted to chat with you first and foremost about your YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
So I went back and I saw that you have about 5 years of videos up there. So this isn't a new endeavor for you.
Not at all. Not at all. It's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. How old were you back then?
When I started rapping, I was 14.
Okay.
So when I actually started doing videos, I probably did my first video at 20.
Okay.
But I've been doing it for a minute, honestly. Just the whole writing, recording. Yeah, I did my first video about 20, 21.
Was it the writing that got you into rapping? Was it the lyricism? Was it like, were you a beat maker? Did you like that kind of thing? What got you interested in hip hop?
It's funny you ask because I've been writing poetry since I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
Love writing for some reason. I don't even understand, like, as a kid how, like, that's your outlet, like
right.
you're a kid, like be playing outside or something. But for some reason, that was just my thing, was just to write. I loved rhyming my words. And the older I got, I just got heavy into music.
Okay.
Like, even to this day, I always remember the first time I hear a song. Like, I've been that way ever since I was a kid.
And you say music, you don't say hip hop.
Yeah, honestly, okay. I wish I could show you my Spotify right now. It's just, I'm inspired by so many different genres, like even like hard metal, like alternative, indie pop, like there's so many. But when I realized I couldn't sing, I was like, okay, let me try something,
That was my next question. Next question was, why did you choose hip hop over anything else?
Yeah, for sure. I realized I couldn't sing, but I'm definitely musically inclined,
Okay.
And I think what really elevated my love for hip hop was being a DJ. I was a DJ when I was 15.
Got you.
So my nana, rest in peace. She just passed away this year, but thank you. But you know what? She believed in me. We weren't super close, but she believed in me. And she was like, all right, you really want to set a turntables? You really want to do this? I believe in you. We'll go invest in this. And I was like 15 at the time.
Was it like your traditional set of turntables? Was it vinyl? Like, what were you working with?
I wish I could say it was vinyl, but
right.
They have what's called Serato. They're like electronic. So what you can do is, it's the controller. They're electronic. They spin. They're already attached to the turntables.
And then you get a mixer and
USB,
stab it in the middle.
Gotcha. USB into the computer, and I load up A, load up B, and it's super convenient.
So what were you spinning back then?
Man, so high school, I was able to really like practice and figure out what I was doing with those turntables. So I was spinning like, my thing was R&B. Okay, Usher, you know what I mean?
Right.
What else? Definitely hip hop. And even, man, I went to a school with a lot of white kids. So, I had to throw in the rock and,
right.
The
stuff that was
everything.
Relevant.
Yeah.
Relevant to them as well. That's something people don't really realize about being a DJ. At least being a DJ who's not picking their shows, should I say.
Right.
You kind of have to play to your audience a little bit to make it fun for them too.
That's right. So doing that, I think, helped even open up more of my horizons with music. I mean, I ended up not only DJing for the school and doing the events, games, assemblies, all that good stuff, but it allowed me to branch out. I started doing birthday parties. Right. I did weddings. I did like anything, you name it. Halloween parties, like.
So you got good at it, because it not anyone can DJ. Everyone says you can always DJ a wedding, but like it's kind of difficult. You got to keep a good vibe going. You have to kind of feel the room and know what you're doing.
It's a lot of pressure. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, especially at a wedding.
Yeah,
especially at a wedding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you got really good with that, and then why'd you stop?
You know what? I made really good money for a couple of years. Like I probably DJ'd from the age of 15 to 18, 19 years old. I'm from San Diego, so that's
Okay.
mainly where my gigs were.
Got you.
I was even able to travel to LA and like do this like crazy wedding, stuff like that. I've even done a couple out here too, but I really wanted to focus on my rap music.
Okay. It
For a
just kind
long
of took
time.
over interest for you.
It did. It did. I think in my heart I'll always I'll always want to DJ. I'll always have my equipment, but I really wanted to hone in on my rap skills and just like my performance all around, cuz DJing is more behind the scenes type of stuff, you know,
Right.
sound. You're not like the front line of everything. I'm kind of just off to the side. So,
You feel more like a drummer than you do a singer.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I hear you.
That's perfect way to describe it.
Right.
So I wanted to focus on getting better at my lyricism and my performance for sure.
Like getting comfortable with being on a stage, for example. Because I saw one video where you did a performance at a fight, at a UFC fight or like an MMA fight.
Yeah.
And you look like you were fairly comfortable in that setting at that point in time. So did you feel like you were a natural with being in front of people? Did it scare you? Do you still get scared?
Man, every show I get nervous, but it's one of those things. It's kind of weird because when I was really young, I had social anxiety, but I made it a point to beat it. So I would do theater class. I would do a lot of things that just I was super young, probably like 7 or 8 years old, and I feel like that gave me an advantage as an adult because since I was little, I put myself in front of big crowds so that. I don't know. I didn't know I was going to set myself up for success, but I think that really gave me the confidence to just be in front of other people and like be myself, be fluid.
Fate loves irony. So the fact that you push yourself to do that at that young of an age, I'm not surprised came back. But that also says a lot about the fact that you're willing to put yourself in uncomfortable positions to begin with. Because like if you have social anxiety, like even doing a show like this would be a problem. You know what I mean? But being able to overcome that says a lot about who you are. And I think that ties into your name. So I wanted to get to why you call yourself Ambition. And that was a great segue. So let's just roll into that.
For sure. So for the longest time, I just wanted my rap name to be my first name. Okay. My first name is Brianna. And I was like, okay, that's cool because, you know, like Rihanna, you know, she did it, you know. But I was like, oh, they sound too similar, you know. So I went through a couple phases where I had like weird names that incorporated my real name in there. And all of a sudden, I had a good friend of mine who ran a radio show out in New York, just an online radio show. He was telling me, I think you should get a new name. And he was kind of just throwing names at me I didn't really like. I didn't think they suited me at all. And finally, it's so funny. He told me that his sister bought a car and named it Ambition. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's me.
You're like, it wasn't even targeted at you. He wasn't even trying to bring it up with relation to you.
Right.
It just happened to be the one that you pick.
Exactly. So I was like, that's all me right there. Ambition. I ran with it.
And it seems like it ties into your music too. So have you always been a rapper? Have you always liked topics like that? Or was it like you trying to play into the name of Ambition too?
You know what? I feel like since I was a kid, I was just as soon as I heard that, I was like, I feel like it's me. It's who I am, and it's relevant to me. So I think that's why I resonated with it so much.
Right. So what do you really want to do with rap? Like, why are you doing it? Everyone has a why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where do you want to take this?
I love this question. So honestly, what I love about music, first and foremost, is it unifies people. So I just love the fact that I can use that platform to bring a community together, bring family. Like, you know, you don't go at an event or a wedding and there's not music. You really don't go a lot of places and there's not. You even go to the grocery store, there's music playing.
I feel weird at restaurants that don't play music. So
right.
I get it.
You know, so first and foremost, I think my mission is just bringing people together. I'm very like, I love what we're doing right now. We've never met, but I feel like we're connecting, we're networking.
Right. 100%.
I live for that. So for sure, just meeting as many people as I can that I can either impact or they can impact me, or go both ways. And also traveling. Like I've been on tour before, so I definitely plan to do it again. So just being able to tour the world and I think just my main mission is to have an impact, leave a mark on the world, and I myself am inspired by so many people.
So why can't you be that point for others too?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's just, to me, it's like a cycle. It's like I don't want to just impact other people. I already know everyone else impacts me.
Right.
I'm influenced by everyone that's around me. So
right.
I just feel like it goes in a circle for sure.
And I mean, it's definitely interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't start doing things because like they feel like there's too much competition. Right? Like there's so many big names in this already. Well, I mean, people's interests change. They might want to stop doing this and start doing something else. And then a pocket opens up for like what you're doing to be valuable in this setting now.
Right.
And it really is one of those like passion trumps whatever odds there really are. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you really enjoy doing it, you'll take those extra steps to get where you need to go if you really care about it that much. And if you don't care about it that much, then you'll throw it to the wayside because you didn't really care.
Right.
So
I agree.
That's huge. And the fact that you care about music for what music is, but you also care about doing the music for the other things that it can do for you and for others. I think that's what really pushes someone to make strides.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to get clouded in this industry. Like, okay, well, I want to start making money doing this. I want to start, and that's fine. But I feel like I'm at the point too where sometimes I do have to remind myself, okay, like, yeah, money's cool, making money, and I've made a lot of money doing music.
Right.
But I do remind myself like why I really do this, and I think it's important to continue doing that. Just because I don't want to work a day job. I'm not.
I hear you.
And from what we were talking about earlier, you
right.
understand that.
Right, I get you.
This is something I love to do the most, and personally, I want to retire my family. I want to be able to go have a good time, go on vacation with my friends, and if they can't, they work a day job, can't afford it. All right, I'll take you with me.
Right.
Let's just go.
Right.
I just want to be able to live life, and it's, for me personally, it's easy to get clouded with that. Okay, I got to start making money now. Okay, I got to do a bunch of shows, and I got to make this all happen in one night.
You feel like in a rush, yeah.
But I slow down. I slow myself down, and I'm like, no, I really love this. I need to, stay focused on the mission, and I feel like everything else falls in line.
Yeah, I would agree. Did you feel like you dealt with that more this past year? Like feeling like you had to be in a rush?
Yeah, totally.
I think everyone did. I think people being cooped up in their houses and on their phones as much as they were this past year, and so much extra time to consume Netflix and YouTube and all that different kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone, and like it's good to have a sense of urgency about what you're doing. And I would hope that most people got a sense of urgency and not a sense of anxiety about what they were doing. Right. But it feels like this year more than any, people are like anxious about not being far enough, in the pursuit of their goals, I guess.
That's right.
Which is bizarre to me. And it's bothersome because like imagine being 16, 17, 18 years old and stressed out about where you are in life. It's like you're still a kid. Like,
right.
Go learn, go try things out, try different things out. And you're a good case for that is like you tried different things. You had a general direction, but you had to try different things in that space to figure out what it was you really enjoyed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's a great point because I'm guilty of that too, where I was just like, okay, if I don't make it at this age, if I'm not doing these numbers, and this time in my life, and it's just like, I stopped focusing on that. Like that stuff depresses me. Like, okay. I mean, I know it's important to an extent, but why keep making music if that's what it's going to be about? Like,
that's true.
I just want to reach who I can reach, and I know it's going to fall into place for me. I'm an optimist. So
I mean, you're probably not going to make great music if you're stressed out while you're making music. So that's important too. Have you ever felt the anxiety in the room about being the girl who's rapping in the building? Because you are the minority. Like you're the smaller person in the room in many cases as far as that goes. And I think, there are a lot of huge female rappers, but when it comes down to being in a local scene, for example, or breaking out of the local scene, I feel like that's something you would deal with much more than obviously being someone who's a household name.
Right. Yeah. You know what? There's times where it's a little bit like, okay, You know, where can I find my footing? But then the more I got confident, the more I thought to myself, well, this is going to allow me to stand out. I can use this as an
To your
advantage.
advantage. Yep.
Yeah, totally.
I hear you.
It has to come with the confidence, though, you know. Um, I'm personally, I'm not intimidated by other artists just because I feel like I'm on a different wave. I have a different style. And I feel like the skill is just really there because I have experienced a lot of artists where they have good music, but they're not good live performers. They rap over their lyrics, which is fine. I'm not hating on that, but it's like if you're, to me, that's lip syncing, you know, and I feel like my show always stands out because I don't do that. So I felt like I wasn't intimidated.
The energy's there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the energy's there when you're
That
not
too.
rapping over your recordings.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I've never really thought about that much. And I think that's something I should probably pay attention to more often is whether or not.
You should.
But I think I just assumed that was like the norm. My assumption was that when I'm going to a hip hop show or I'm watching a rapper perform, that it was normal for them to be rapping over their recordings. So that's interesting.
You should see the difference. I'm telling you. Like I personally, I feel like there's a big difference.
Well, you know, I'll watch a lot of, obviously we didn't get to do that this past year, but I'll watch a lot of like South by Southwest recordings of like shows and stuff. And that's never one of the things that I've tried to like put my focus on to pay attention to. But I'm going to go back and do that now and see if I can pick a difference. Do you have a specific artist that you enjoy watching for that reason? Like live performance wise, is there someone you try to emulate?
Yeah, you know who I'm a huge fan of? He's from here. His name's Futuristic. Would you happen
I
to
do know
him?
I've met him a time or two. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely know him.
He's so inspiring to me because that fool is all around the stage. He's interacting, he's connected. He raps really quickly, like he's just skilled, you
Right.
know. So to me, like I'm very inspired by that. Because you'll run into performers who I don't know, it's just to me it's about connecting with the audience,
Right.
eye contact, you know, just stuff like that. And I just know the difference because I've seen shows where the artist is not connected or they're not prepared, and then shows where they're very prepared or maybe they're just a natural.
Right. And sometimes they're the rappers who are just there because they have to be. Yeah. It's like, this is what I do now, so I got to do shows.
Yes.
I've actually seen Futuristic live. I think I saw him in, I want to say 2016 or 17.
Okay,
when
way
he
back.
opened up for MGK.
Oof, okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I agree with you 100%. He had the energy. I thought it was a good match for MGK because MGK is one of those people who just goes buck wild when he's on stage.
Yeah.
And he did that night too. He like climbed the rafters and like hung himself all the way around, or not, he was hanging all the way around the building and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was awesome. And I think Futuristic was doing like his dunking thing back then,
That's
like
right.
dunking
He
into the
still
crowd.
does that
He does?
too. He does.
I
It's
didn't know
awesome.
that.
It's so awesome.
I figured that was like a one tour kind of thing. He was like, yeah, we're going to try this out for the tour and see how it goes.
Every show, I'm pretty sure he does that.
That's funny. See, it's good to have like staple pieces like that. Fun things that you do that, like, obviously he's into basketball and stuff, so it makes sense. You got to have something that makes sense, though. I feel like you can't just pull anything out of thin air.
That's right.
I think Steve Aoki does his cake thing still. So
I'm a fan of him too.
I think you got to find something like that.
Yeah.
You got to find your like, how do I get into the crowd situation?
That's right. It makes it fun for everyone.
It really does. People feel special about that kind of thing too. It's like it's one of those pinpoint, like, I remembered the fact that he did the dunk. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a pinpoint thing. And if someone can remember you for that pinpoint thing, it's better than them not remembering you at all.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, so you know, at least you've seen him live. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I hear you. Okay. And tell us about what you're doing with your music right now. So what have you been working on music wise? Like, what are your plans for releases over the next year? And how was that impacted by last year?
Totally. So last year set the tone for like, okay, I need to sit my ass down and just build up my musical resume and build up, because I think we were just going so hard on shows, and for a minute I was like, okay, cool, I have enough music, I'm performing now. Granted, I'm always working on something. I'm always writing. Like, I just like to, I'm building my catalog right now, for sure. So I think that's what my focus is. I have about 4 or 5 songs I'm sitting on right now, and they're all with different producers, engineers. So my goal right now is to just promote what I've dropped already
Okay.
and kind of have just ammunition, ready to go for when I want to do releases back to back to back.
Right.
My goal since February, March was to just drop something every month. But then I had like a head change where I just thought I want to drop a video with every song that I do because I feel like it really helps the momentum of the song. So I think that's the direction I'm going right now. I've just honestly, life's been a little bit crazy.
Right.
So not everything goes as planned, and
Right.
for me, my videos have a lot of planning, and I like to have people involved, and I just have a lot of ideas that just I didn't have before.
Right.
So it's just a matter of executing it. But right now, just building the catalog. When I finally get that, that one hit song or, the song that finally kind of breaks me through as an artist, I want people to be able to go and back catalog and just find my old stuff. I just want to have just a big, because that's where I feel like you build a true fan base is people going back to your, past music and just being like, okay, this hit song is dope, but she's been dope,
Right.
she's been putting out hits,
I think Russ is the one that says it best.
That's
He's
right.
like, you have less than 10 songs out. You know what I mean? He talks about that all the time and how he built up his audience through a catalog of music, just
Right.
having tons of stuff out for people to enjoy. And I think that really is what separates you from being just an influencer. I feel like there's a lot of musicians who are just influencers who make music from time to time,
Right.
not musicians. Having a catalog
Wow.
is one of those things that separates you for sure.
I hear that.
Yeah. And I think it's going back to your YouTube channel. I love the fact that you have stuff from 5 years ago still up there, because I know a lot of people in your position would be more than happy to take that stuff down.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're, I've progressed a lot since then, and it's that stuff doesn't matter anymore. But it's important, it's important
Agreed.
for you to be able to go back and look on. And I think it also builds a lot of credibility for someone to be able to look at what you used to be able to do and what you do now. And they can be like, wow. So not only has this person gotten better, but you can tell that they've actually worked to get there.
That's a great point.
So I love the fact that was one of the things I enjoyed when I was, looking over your stuff. I was like, wow, if it was me, I would be hard pressed not to take this stuff down, but she didn't. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a struggle, to be honest, because like my style I've grown just as a person. So yeah, sometimes I'm like, do I still want to have this up? But exactly what you said, just having that portfolio, the credibility, like look how young I was when I was doing this,
and
still doing it.
It adds a lot of it must add a lot of confidence to you too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you seem, even when you walked in the room, like you were very open, very confident person walking in.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like being able to talk to people who are doing things a little bit differently from the crowd, and it seems like you make it a point to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, to walk and like kind of separate yourself from everything going on around you.
Yeah, I have to. You know what I mean? I feel like as an artist, not everyone looks at it this way, but we have a big responsibility just as influencers. We have young kids growing up in this generation, and I'm not saying I'm the best influence, but you never know who's listening. You never know who's watching you, and I feel that I don't ever want to be looked at as pessimistic. People have been a light in my life, and I want to be the same,
And help them out too.
Yeah.
You probably keep a small team, huh?
I do.
Tight knit group.
I have to. To me, I'm really big on energy.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm willing to give anyone a chance, but at the same time, it's like I do preserve my energy as well. Just because I've experienced where I just spread myself very thin. You say yes to everybody else, but you say no to yourself, and I've had too many losses doing that.
You're like trying not to disappoint people.
Or disappoint myself.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because, in a lot of senses, I think people would take it as like I want to do this because I don't want to be known as the person who's not going to do something, you know, and I want every opportunity that comes my way. But if you're taking every opportunity, you know what I mean? Is that really taking an opportunity?
Right.
If
That's a good point.
Yeah. If you're just willing to take all of the work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, interesting. I like that. Have you ever said no to a show?
Yeah, I have.
Really?
I have.
Okay.
And the reason being is I'm very fortunate to just have so many connections and know so many people.
Mm-hmm.
So when I come across a group of people who I know aren't credible,
Okay.
thank goodness sometimes I don't have to learn the hard way.
Right.
I've already heard about bad experiences from people I know or people I care about.
Certain promoters and stuff you just trying to stay away from in general.
Mm-hmm. Or if I know it's gonna possibly affect my image in a negative way, just depending on, okay, just to give you an example, I'm not an artist that likes to go in the club and have like a bunch of dancers and
pop
like
bottles and go crazy. That's not your thing.
Not really. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I would never, but
Right.
it's just not really my scene. And so like I've had those kinds of opportunities come up for me, and just to me, like, everyone's already doing that anyways. Why would I need to?
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Someone else is gonna do it anyways.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I've worked in the EDM scene, like behind the scenes. I worked with a promoter and we were putting on our own events and shows and stuff. And it was always funny to hear that a certain group or a certain promoter was putting on a show, because we'd all be like, oh, here we go. And then the week of the show, you wouldn't hear anything. It's crickets. And then the week after the show, everyone's like, man, was that horrible. People are like, it was so disorganized. I couldn't imagine. Like, how did they do that? And it was the same story every time. You know what I mean? Every time they throw the show, it was the same thing. But it always seems like those are the kinds of groups who never have repeat customers. They're always finding new people or advertising to new people.
Right.
It's just not sustainable.
Right.
You can't do it.
You understand.
Oh yeah. We're on the same page in a lot of different ways. When it comes to like preserving your energy and making sure that, you know, if you're working with someone or promoting someone, it's someone that you respect, someone who, you know, at least energy wise, like you can tell that that's someone you would vibe with outside of that setting as well. It's just not worth it. You know what I mean? Especially when you're building up a personal platform, right? So like your name is your business.
That's right.
You got to be so protective of that. It's the same way, like I recently made an ethics page for the company and for our website. And it was one of those things, like I sent it to my sister, my girlfriend, I sent it to Zach, and everyone was like, you know, I don't know anyone who has an ethics page on their website. And I was like, I know of maybe 2 or 3 YouTubers that I really respect who have them. And I think it makes a worlds of difference to showcase to people what you're about up front and center, especially when you have to comb through like, this guest wants to come on, this guest wants to come on. If I were to send you my ethics page, are you still okay with the way that I do business? Does this resonate with you? And are you still wanting to come on? You know what I mean? You weed out the bushes really easily that way.
That sets you apart a
For
lot.
sure.
I can't say that I've seen that.
Right.
So knowing this about you now, like that's really respectable.
Yeah. And like I said, and I feel the same way about what you're doing with being able to say no to those shows. And like, obviously I'm assuming those are money-making opportunities for you.
Right.
To be able to turn that down, again, especially as an artist who's not, like, you're not signed to, I don't assume you're signed to a label.
No, I'm not.
So yeah, for an independent artist to be turning down opportunities to make money, it's a huge thing. Like I see a lot of rappers just throwing out features like it's candy. Like they don't care. If you pay them for the feature, they'll do it.
Right.
And I couldn't imagine being that way myself. I couldn't imagine just like throwing my art, if I had value for it. I can't imagine just throwing my art out there to whoever wants it just because they're willing to pay for it.
Right.
So
I understand that.
yeah, I definitely end point with that. I admire the way that you carry yourself and what you're doing with your image and with your music as a whole. So
thank you.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate it too, man.
So I want to open the floor to you and see if there are any questions that you have about what we do, about my experience with other guests, anything like that you have.
Yeah, so it's funny you're asking now because I was gonna ask you before we started, so I'm glad I didn't.
Okay.
But I guess what I'd like to ask is what brought you here? You know, you have this whole like the set is super professional. It's really comfortable environment, you know, like what inspired you to kind of get this started?
Um, so I think I've had a number of businesses in the past, and they were like clothing companies and stuff like that. But I've also worked with other people on their small businesses, and although I've always been able to find something I enjoyed doing within those organizations, um, I always found myself jumping from like thing to thing. Like I wanted to experience all of the different positions, right, in every
Mm-hmm.
business. I wanted to know what it felt like to do everyone's job. And with that, I've always been someone who had a lot of interests. You know what I mean? For 1 year, I was super into cars. I'm still super into cars. I love cars. It's been a thing for my life. But like, you know, I can watch a video about anything and stay interested. You know what I mean?
Right.
If the topic's there, I want to see it. I want to know about it. And I think having a podcast was the only way that I could encompass everything, be able to talk
Right.
about everything with anybody
Right.
and learn from them at the same time. So learning was a big thing for me. And then when it comes to building out the podcast the way that it was just a natural progression. I started doing it and I enjoyed it a lot. So I went from, okay, these mics are cool, they get the job done, but like, what's really going to make people want to be on my show? What's going to make people see the set that I have or see the quality of the show and showcase the quality that I'm willing to give them in the interview or in the conversation? I wanted what you see and what you hear to match the energy that I'm willing to give to
Wow.
my guests. And in a few different ways I can say that it's worked, because there are a couple guests that are up on that wall who I reached out to who never responded, and then a month or two later they respond and they say, hey, I like what you're doing, I'd like to come by and check it out. You know what I mean? And while they aren't like huge names, right,
Mm-hmm.
they're not household names, the hope is that at some point in time there are the household names who do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
people whose DMs I'm in right now might contact me back in 3 years and be like, hey, I saw your DM just now, but looks like you're doing something cool. Let's get to work. So that's the
Wow.
goal. It's just like kind of prepare yourself to be in the best position possible. And again, I liken that a lot to what you're doing with yourself as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's inspiring. Like honestly, like the moment I walked in here, I was like, this to me, like the like kind of what do you call it? Like a set presence.
Yep.
You know, just everything. It matters.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, so I can tell that this is something you really put yourself into, poured yourself into,
Yep.
and in turn, it inspires me to open up and share ideas with you, and
I'm glad.
you
I'm
know,
glad. I'm glad. And that was a big point for me. You know, like I used to have the setup in that corner, like no further than where your chair ends. It was a table and two
okay,
chairs,
okay,
like a little bit of a tight space. And you could feel that people weren't as comfortable. You know what I mean?
okay. You
Like
felt that?
generally the guest would be in the corner. So
Okay.
you could feel that they were kind of like cooped up and tight and not as comfortable as they could be.
Hmm.
Um, and I really wanted to preserve my living room to some
Okay.
degree. But it came to the point where I was just like, you know what, I have to just
Yeah.
send it and use the whole space. Like there's nothing holding me back at this
Hmm.
point. And it worked out really well. And this
Yeah.
was this was an opportunity for me and my brother-in-law to hang out because he's a woodworker. So he built the
Wow.
table, he built all the shelves, he helped me with the wall.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So it was a fun like bonding opportunity too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's inspiring,
Yeah.
honestly.
I appreciate it.
And this is why too. I mean, I'm so grateful Zach, you know, brought it up to me, and you know, whether I really saw everything that you do or not. Like I watched a couple of your interviews, and I love how just you're a conversation kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But just coming in here, it's like wow, like you're really doing this. You're serious about this. This is what you do.
Yep. Yep.
You know. So
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's definitely a lack of the verbiage I use on the website and the verbiage I use on all of the different advertising and whatever is honest and genuine conversation. Because I feel like someone can be honest and not be genuine,
Mm.
but you can't be genuine without being honest.
Right.
So
Right.
if I can pinpoint those two things in every conversation I'm having with people and make sure that I'm being honest about who I am and why I'm here and why I'm talking to the person I'm talking to, and they can be honest with me about why they're doing what they're doing or why they've put so much effort into a certain project or field, right? Like some of the more interesting conversations I have are with like college professors or like people who are scholars, like medical students and things like that, because you really want to know, like, that is some rigorous stuff.
Right.
What makes you want to do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And when you get those honest and genuine answers from people, I think it digs deep past a level of like, I just want to have an interview with someone, because like there are plenty of interviews out there, right? I can ask you all the questions about your career, about your music, what made you want to come up with this song, where did this lyric come from, and that digs to a certain level. But I think being able to have an open conversation with someone allows not only, like, for example, your fans or the people who listen to your music get to know you in a way that they can't anywhere else. Right. But it also allows the people who keep coming back here to know that the people I'm bringing on are people they should invest their time into as well. Wow. You know what I mean? It's a certain standard, I think, interviewers and talk shows really don't hold themselves to, because they're looking for the person who's going to get them the most residual views in return.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
That's huge for me. Just making sure that I can stand by the people who are here, and the people watching can know, right, just from watching who's here, that they're also being honest and genuine.
Right.
So
that's
super
beautiful.
important. Yeah.
So I'm sure you have maybe one on your website, but if you could like put in your own words, what's your mission statement for what you're doing, your company?
Yeah. Creating the most honest and genuine conversation on the internet. Just like plain and simple.
Okay.
And like, I want to expand too, you know, I want to have other channels that are more topic based, right? Like, this show isn't about any specific topic, just about people and what they do.
Okay.
I want to have more topic based shows where people can come and trust the information that they're getting. So like, I feel like this is a good stepping stone to show people, okay, we're willing to be honest and open and genuine with our interviews. Like, you should trust that we're being honest and open about, let's say, like a news topic that we want to cover, or like if we want to give you financial videos and topics like that, things of that nature. So I think another big part of that is just building trust, but that should be a part of everyone's business, or like everyone's brand, for example. So I don't really note that as a piece of what we do.
Right.
So that's important. I want to ask you the same question. If you had to give your brand, your music, a mission statement.
Man, to bring the world together, to, you know, on a little bit of a side note, but still adding on to your question, now more than ever, someone told me this, a good friend of mine, now more than ever, I feel like we require good music right now. Just healing music more than ever. Like, everything's going to shit, you know, around us, but I feel like if, you know, the only place we can stay is home, or wherever we call home, if we can just plug in the stereo, plug in our headphones, and kind of like when you travel, you just realize how big the world is. You know, you listen to music, you get so many different perspectives and point of views. So now more than ever, I feel inclined to make music that inspires others, while also telling my story. And it shows me too how far I've come looking back on my music. You know, some of it's not the most optimistic, but I get to hear it and be like, I'm not in that place anymore. Wow, like that's my testimony. I made it here, like when I didn't think I was gonna make it through something, you know. So just to unify the world, the music world, and leave my mark, you know. When my physical body passes away, my voice, you're always gonna have still a recording of my voice, you know. I think that's amazing. I can't describe that. Like,
it's like a you have like your own textbook of all of your ideologies and all of your experience and stuff. That's like really crazy.
Exactly.
That's really crazy to think. Like, we've only had the internet and we've only had YouTube for so long. You know what I mean? Imagine 100 years from now, 150 years from now, you get to go online and look at your great grandfather or your great grandmother.
That's right.
Like doing something when they were your age. You know, you
Right.
actually get to watch them. It's not just photos anymore. You don't have to just like stare at a photo and be like, oh, I've heard so much about what he was like. You can see it. It's there for you. I think that's huge with video and super underestimated. My last question for you is, what is one of the most difficult things you've had to do in your life, or one of the most difficult things you've had to deal with? How did you? And then how is it, have you made a song about it, or how has it made its way into your music?
For sure. I would say the most difficult thing would be to accept things that I cannot change.
Okay.
There's just so much, honestly, I've been through a lot, and there's just so many things. There's just like, why couldn't I have been in control of that? Well, if I was in control, it would have gone this way, and, things from really, really minor, small situations to really tragic things, So I just think accepting that I can't control what's going on around me, but I can control the fact that I move forward with my life.
Right.
And I guess you can say I haven't really written about that. I just had that like come to Jesus moment, I guess, recently in my adulthood, you know what I mean?
Right.
I've been experiencing a lot like this past year, 2 years, So just being accepting of the fact that I'm not in control of anything around me, but what I can control is myself, my actions, the way I react to things. And I think we just made a song right now. So.
I hope so, because hopefully you can shoot me over the lyrics or something before you get started. I love studio sessions. I'll just sit in the corner and not talk. It's all good.
I would love to have you there. I would love to have you there.
It's one of my most favorite things to do, is just sit in the corner and watch the process. I love it.
Okay. You're invited.
Awesome.
You're invited.
I'll be there. Zach, make sure to book that for me. All right. Well, I want to give you the floor one more time. You have a camera there. You guys can let the people know what you have coming up, what's going on in your life, anything you want to tell them, a message, whatever you want. Floor is all yours.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having me again. We were complete strangers, but I could see a good friendship, good network coming out from this. Well, for those watching, listening, you can follow me on all major platforms. You can go to my website, ambitionthegoddess.com. You'll find my Instagram, Ambition the Great, my Facebook, Ambition619, YouTube, Ambition619. Just check out what I'm doing, check out what I'm about. I'm going through a big growing phase in my life right now. So it's funny you were mentioning that, I have videos dated from like 5 years ago.
Right.
I have decided to archive a few of them, not because I'm like, oh, I'm over this now. It's just one of those, you know what? I don't talk like this anymore.
Gotcha.
I'm not, I'm maturing in my real life and in my music. So, just throwing them in the archives, I can still see them. And if someone, asks me personally for a link of it, I'll send it over.
That means shoot her a DM and ask to see them.
If
you're a true fan, if you're a real one, you'll ask to see those.
That's right. So for sure, and I have to let life happen sometimes for me to just keep creating. So I just think that's on the path that I'm on. I'm not in a rush anymore. I just came to the realization that it's not the end of the world if I don't hit billboards next year, but to me, as long as I'm being a solid artist, I'm being true to myself, and I'm building my fan base, I don't care how long it takes. I know for a fact that I was blessed with a voice. I was blessed with whatever this is. I'm going to use it for good. So I hope that it just inspires and influences others, and just being true to myself, and hopefully everyone watching be true to themselves, not to be too cheesy, but.
And hopefully it resonates.
Yeah.
Hopefully it resonates.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for spending your time here.
Thank you so much.
Like the video if you have not liked the video and you liked the video. And then make sure to drop a comment if you guys like what she was talking about. Any talking points you guys have, drop them in the comment. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys next week. And hopefully we'll see Ambition here again in the future.
You will.
Once you've made some more strides and you have some more stuff to talk about.
Count on it.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you next one.